There's no time. There's no time to waste. There's no time to kill. You never wasted any time. You never used any time. Freedom from the constraints of time, which is the same freedom as freedom from the constraints of me, is the mystery. Time still appears. But it could just be obvious that what we call time is memory and imagination. And they're both simply appearances. And time is inferred. From memory and in imagination. That still happens. That's natural. What you could say is unnatural is the almost unshakable belief in time as reality that self has. Because if I don't have a conviction that time is real in an absolute way, then I don't exist. So you can say time is a belief, but for self, it's more than that. It's a very sense of existence, of continuity. I know I was here yesterday. I know I'm here now. And I know I'll be here tomorrow. Well, I don't know that, but I can hope for it. And it seems as though that's what I was. That's what I is. I is the conviction of continuity. The conviction of existence. Now, if that conviction no longer appears, it just doesn't happen. There's simply no knowing. Without the illusion that I absolutely know that I was here yesterday, I know where I was 10 minutes ago. I'm certain I'm here now. And from that, I infer quite a certainty that I will be here in 10 minutes. So I exist. And in that, there is this very powerful illusion of separation, of being me, of having a life separate from all other life.
We've got an audio problem, Tim. Can't hear you. Could someone else say something just to see if we've got audio from another person? And it's just Tim.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
okay, cool. Yeah. So we've just lost yours, Tim.
I can hear Tim.
Oh. Okay.
Could you say what Tim says?
Why is it that some people can only hear? Tej can't hear.
I can't hear him now, but I could before.
Oh, okay. You can't hear him now. So can anyone hear Tim right now? No? Oh, Marla. Say something again, Tim.
Maybe it's better this way.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. We haven't encountered this kind of problem before. That's a really strange one.
Yeah.
Well, you're back.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Do you think it's just your bandwidth?
I've no idea.
I can't see you.
Can't see him now.
Yeah, try your video again.
I did the really technical thing of pulling the plug out and sticking it back in.
Wow.
That one, you know.
There's a little bit of a delay, so it could be your bandwidth, could just be your internet.
Yeah,
let's try it. You can always turn the video off again if there's a problem.
But, well, I'm not saying all of that again. That's a once only. So I don't know. When when did I stop speaking? That's put me right. That's put me right off.
You stopped when you said, will I be here in 10 minutes?
And then you weren't.
and then he'd gone. So no time. There we go. That's short and sweet. No time, no me. Jobs are good and that's it, really. You don't need to hear any more about non-duality. That's it. 4 words will do. The rest is all window dressing and fluff.
David has his hand up.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Hello.
Just trying to help you out now.
Yeah, thanks, David. No, I appreciate it.
Plug the gaps. Got a stinking cold, actually. It was fucking awful. But there we are. That's life.
Oh.
That's not why I'm saying. Just you reminded me of good old Nisargadatta.
Lovely old boy.
The man. Actually, there's something else I'd like to say about him. I'll say this first. It's just this business of the dogs barking. It just occurs to me right now, the kind of barking dogs thing, you know, the UG stuff.
Yeah.
Because, and you know, I'm not trying to be remotely malicious here, but you know, you've got Tony who just won't tolerate things like that these days. Fair enough. And then Richard, who says that I am that is the closest you can get to the whole deal. And these are 2 people singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just the barking dogs thing. I mean,
well, there you go. That tells you all you want to know.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, they're singing, but they're just, you know, they're different dogs with different barks. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a lovely. I like harking back to these things, if only for the comfort that I'm not signed up to some mad, unique modern cult. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this has been going on for thousands of years. Let's not forget that, despite the 25-year rule. But Nisargadatta in Consciousness in the Absolute, lovely, lovely book of his very last words. Very, very different from I Am That. Very,
Yeah.
very, still great. But at one point he says, please understand. Now, of course, you get the non-duality word police right in there, but let's put that to one side for the moment. Please understand there is only one thing to be understood. Now, everybody's reaching for their pens and pencils, I hope, just now.
Yeah,
and that is, this relates to what you were saying, I think, and that is that you are the formless, timeless, unborn. That's all you need to know. That's pretty good, is it not?
It's all right.
But it's the way he tells them. I mean, you have to be there at the time.
Yeah, I think you had to be there.
You did, yeah.
Mm.
One thing, it's the formless, you are the formless, timeless, unborn. Off you go. You've had enough.
Yeah, I think he's making too much of it, but, you know, that's just me, isn't it? It's a little grandiose for my taste, David.
I mean, you know, he was a poor soul. You know, he just didn't quite have it, you know, but he did his best.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I really, that is it, yeah.
It is.
I'm not disagreeing at all.
Shit. Anyway, I hope that's somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I just bark about it a little bit differently, that's all. But yeah, but so instead of formless, I just say emptiness generally, don't I? But it's the same. The words don't matter at all.
No, they don't.
But I'm really, I mean, he didn't speak about not knowing what he was speaking about quite enough for my taste either, you know, because it could sound that sounds pretty.
He barked very highly of you.
Well, you said that of God last week. So, yeah, God and Nisargadatta both speak very highly of me, I've heard.
He barked very highly.
Yeah.
No, but then we come back.
Well, interestingly, of course,
we come back to the.
If you're dyslexic, then, of course, God and dog.
No, yeah. No gods allowed. That's how it should be. But so the initial point was that in some ways, maybe a bit more serious now in light of that, because, you know, when you have two really, you know, erudite folk and things, but they can't disagree on I am that, whether it's right or not, you can't virtually just kind of give up on listening to anybody. It doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all. No, I would never tell anyone to not listen to anyone else. No, regardless.
Thank you.
No, thanks, David. I like a bit of Niz. I don't mind.
Old Niz. Old Niz.
I like a bit of Niz.
Well, that's what, you know. That's we were on 3-letter name terms. So he called me Tim. Sometimes Timbo, but
Timbo.
Cliss
Nisargadatta. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
No, it's fine. Yeah. So the three descriptions were timeless,
formless,
and
unborn.
Unborn, yeah, undead.
And
it's formless, then timeless, then unborn.
And he threw a little "you are" in there.
Exactly. You should never.
I never say. I mean, you don't hear me say I am that because for me the whole I is the thorny word, because what really all I'm ever suggesting is that I is the illusion, You can say am that if you want. I'll allow that. But if you come to my meetings, you're not allowed to say I am that. You just have to say am that. And it doesn't. And of course, it doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't. You know, as I say, Richard has said he thinks it's the closest we'll get. Because he's interpreting it in a different way.
Mm. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I could say it. I don't say it. You know, because you can interpret I am that as what you've called yourself and what everything else, which is that. So I am this, but everything else is that, and that is this. And, you know, you hear me say that sort of thing quite frequently. And you could interpret those words in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just pointing at the absence of the feeling of being apart, as in separate, and being a part, as in little me, in this vast unknowable universe, which of course is the place of fear where most selves live. The sense of feeling so small. And that's the root of grandiosity for me. Most grandiose selves are just desperately trying to compensate for that feeling of being poor little small me in this vast unknowable everything.
Inez has a hand up.
Yes.
Inez.
Hi, Tim. Good to meet you.
Hi.
I have 2 questions. Can I ask 2 questions? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, the first one is when we talk about this message or about this and the dream and the illusion that nothing is there, is one of the reasons for that, because one day when we will be dead, like my ancestors, I mean, I don't remember my grandfather, grandmother, just saw pictures, but I mean, they are not there anymore. Nobody remembers you after a while. Maybe once you're dead, your family will remember you and be sad for a short while, but in the course of time, you'll be forgotten, pretty sure. Is the reason for the nothingness because the fact that once you're dead, there's nothing, and so we're nothing already. Is that it? I don't know. Does that make sense, the question?
No, I'm not sure what you're asking me. I mean, are you saying, why is it nothing?
Yeah, why is it nothing? I mean, once we're dead, we are there.
Well, yeah. I will say about the nothing, it doesn't need a reason or an explanation at all. I don't have any. And anyone who gives you reasons or explanations, you can ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is in spite of, regardless of any reason or explanation. It makes no sense that everything is empty. And when I say empty, that's just another word for nothing. So thingness and no thingness is not two. And that's regardless of whatever stories you say about what will happen in the future, you know, that I'll be forgotten and no one will know me. No one knows you already, including what you've called yourself, that self-knowledge. That's all illusory, all of it. That's the illusion, that you know, so you know yourself, but it's empty. All the knowledge that you say, or all the understanding as well as the knowledge, is completely empty. So that's nothing too. So it's not that you know, because you'll be forgotten in 3 generations' time, that there's nothing. It's everything is nothing. Emptiness isn't what awaiting sometime in the future. There's no future.
Cool.
So you can still tell the story. You know, when you said that, and I remember having similar thoughts like that. Say, you know, when I was quite young, maybe teenager, or it really struck me that, all my efforts to be remembered, to make my life significant, because that's what self is about. Self-significance is a big part of the energy of being me, that I want to be remembered. I mean, that's what is stardom and celebrity and success, if not that. And it can hit just on a really, in a time-bound, ordinary way, you could say, that every self could get, that eventually, of course, that is only time limited. And I can remember someone saying, yeah, but what about Jesus? 2,000 years, no one's forgotten him. I went, yeah, there are exceptions to the rule. But 2,000 years, I mean, drop in the ocean.
Is that a boy?
Just a speck of time.
Is that a boy?
In the story of time. But when all the stories, whatever stories you tell are just stories, then they're all empty. They're nothing too. They are the stories, but beautifully empty stories. I don't know if that's an answer. Did you say?
Sounds freeing. What you're saying, very liberating.
Yeah, in a dreadfully ordinary way, but yes, it is.
And my second question would be about the war, about atrocities.
Right.
How can we see that?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do I see?
Oh, about cruelties and stuff that's going on in the world right now.
This has nothing to say about why. You're asking reasons why. Why. There's no. You can have any answer you want. There is just what's happening, and I mean, looking for reasons and answers is to solve the problem that things are always just as they are. I haven't got any answers for that. Just sadness, really. Some anger as well. That's what we really have. We have reaction to what's happening. And, war is terribly sad, and there's likely to be some anger at the injustice and the unfairness and the cruelty of it. But no looking for answers anymore. That's, again, you could say that's one of the great freedoms. I couldn't even suggest answers or reasons.
Anita has a... Sorry.
Thanks. Anita.
Hi, Tim. Yeah, it's so in this there is no problem. There's no problem at all. And in daily life it seems that, but it are happenings. Yeah, you give a little bit, yeah. So there is sadness, but I thought that in this, when there was no, then that there are still two. So it's life, what is happening, and this where is nothing and no problem at all. I make still a kind of a division between those two. Well, it's. I think it's one, and sometimes I feel very strong that the energy of this boundless energy is, but yeah, I still feel there is a kind of, I make a division between this life, what is happening, and this. But it's maybe because of this, because of life isn't real. It's not real, I think. But there can be feelings about what is happening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking about not feeling. I mean, just like everything else, self has said that they're my feelings. You know, it's taken ownership of feeling, as though without me there wouldn't be any feeling. I would be so self-told can tell a story that if I fell away, if there was no me, then there would be no feeling. I would be just an unfeeling, like robotic. You know, that it's my humanity, you could say. Mm-hmm. So the best of being human, that self will claim that. Self claims everything. And the reality is that none of it was ever mine or yours. There's just naturally being human. And although they sound contradictory, that there can be the unity or the oneness can be very obvious, and yet there's still reactions to what seems to be other than me happening, you know. So it seems contradictory that there can be an obvious non-duality and seeming duality, but it's not contradictory.
No. Thank you.
I mean, thank you. And the reason it's contradictory, it would be contradictory to me, because me says, well, it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, but that isn't.
That is not, no. One is the other. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole energy of self. So it just lives in black and white and hates grey. Just doesn't want grey. Just wants to click. I just want to know, is it or isn't it? Well, it is and it isn't, is the answer. And that is not satisfactory ever to self. I mean, the whole notion of non-duality, which is that there is no inherent good or evil, is abhorrent to me. Because how will I know what to do? How will I know how to be good? How will I know how to be right? How will I know the right thing to do? Well, the truth is you don't know already. And you are the illusion that you do. There can be similar spiritual myths in non-duality to other spiritual ideas or paths or ways. It can seem that, okay, so without me, I wouldn't have to feel the sadness when I see war happening, when I see children suffering. I wouldn't feel anger at those who are perpetrating that, who seem to be causing that. Well, not at all. It's completely natural. it seems obvious here that what's been spoken about is natural, being naturally human. Which includes everything that can happen. Anything can happen. Which, of course, also includes judgments that you may think, of course, the enlightened ones, the awakened ones, they will be free from all judgment. Judgment's absolutely natural. They're not your judgments. This isn't about being more righteous in any way. Now, that is good news. Did any of you see my latest single from Jeremy Chilwell? No.
Your latest what?
My
Yes,
latest single. It's called, oh, hold on.
Oh, is it like a remix?
Yeah, remix, yeah. There's just this. What, just this? Yes, just this. Right, this is a real confession. Because it feels a bit like a confessional, all of this. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but it is a bit like that. And I like that far too much. And there is a confession. So there I am, listening to my own voice with a little... There's just this. Just this. So there I am, listening to it, and just this. And this isn't somewhere else. This isn't something else.
Is that Mika?
Right. I don't want... There's no escape. There's no finding. I've been accused of being a narcissist before, and this isn't going to help, but I cried when I heard myself.
Oh,
I know.
oh, lovely. I've just put a link to it in the chat.
No path and no travelling. Well, that's enough, Mika.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it much more than I should have done.
No, it was so fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, I love what he's doing. He's done he's done those remixes for just about everyone who speaks about this. It's good. If you're not had a look, have a look. I think they'll amuse, if nothing else.
There's a link in chat. Yeah.
Thanks, Mika. Yeah, that is a confession. I found it really moving. Oh, that's funny. And then laughed at myself for liking it so much.
Try and do techno version, Tim.
Try and do what?
Techno version.
No, there is the one before is quite techno. The one before. There's another one. Anyway, they're fun.
So apparently there was a game of golf earlier, which you won. So did that happen? Did that happen earlier?
No. Yeah. Because of course the answer is always the answer to every question. You know, if you want a yes or no answer, it is yes or no. Yeah. Every question. Yeah, always. So yes, did that appear to happen? Yeah, there's a memory of it. But yeah, did it happen? No. But I did win though. I've got money in my pocket to prove it. Yeah. Well, there you go, because that there's, you know, that's where self lives in. So there's only one answer that's correct out of those two, isn't there? The truth is, there isn't one correct answer. There's no knowing. So did it really happen? Yes, it really happened, and I've got the memory and the money to prove it. Did it really happen? No, it didn't really happen, because nothing ever really happens. Even this happening, which is all there is not really happening. It's really happening, this, and it's not really happening. Which is just another way of saying you don't know. You can't know. The lie, which I usually say illusion, but it is a straightforward lie, is that I do know. Don't tell me I don't know. I fucking know. I know what's real from unreal. Don't be telling me I don't know. No, that's the illusion. And it's, I mean, incredibly liberating when it's obvious that no one knows. No one, not even Nisargadatta or whoever else you think probably did know. And of course, why self holds those special ones so precious is because if there are no special ones who did know, who do know, then there's no hope for me, is there? And that is what we are speaking of. We are speaking of the absolute no hope for you. That's liberation. The absolute antithesis of what everything we've been taught by other selves. That knowledge, understanding will bring you to where the special ones got to. or are, you know, what you've imagined, the ones that are still alive, that they are there in a special place, in a special state, in a special way of being. There is no special way of being. Being is all. It takes you to make one being more special than another. When there are no special human beings, when everyone is absolutely ordinary and absolutely unique, the ordinariness and the specialness just fall into each other. And that's love. I don't mean you love everyone. You still dislike the ones you dislike. But you're not bothered by it. How bothered are you by disliking other human beings that you really have no cause to dislike? I mean, I think I've said that before, but that is a real bugbear for self. I fucking can't stand him. I've really got no, it's not justifiable. I've got no good reason. But God, he gets my back up. And I really shouldn't love her. It's inappropriate. But there it is, I do. And that's undeniable, no matter how hard I try to deny it. And you think how much effort I put in, self puts in, to denying feelings, hiding them, distracting oneself from them. Well, the feelings are not yours any more than the clouds in the sky.
So even Bernard Manning.
Blessed Bernard. Oh, Bernard knew how to tell a blue joke, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He did. I mean, cut the racism out. He could make me laugh.
Yeah, he had a certain presence.
Bernard, man. There's a lot of people here don't know who we're speaking about.
just
but growing up with 70s TV, I know perfectly well.
Mm. Yeah.
Bernard Manning would be, by today's standards, utterly politically incorrect. Not just politically, sexually, racially, on every level.
I had a friend who was interviewing him once for a magazine, and he couldn't hide his distaste for him, the journalist, you know. And
he wouldn't hide it. No.
He said, you know, you seem to, you know, you're pretty, you're rich, aren't you? No, what was it? No. He talked about him being fat, actually, because he was changing his clothes for the photo shoot. He said, "You're fat, aren't you?" He said, "No." He says, "I'm fat and rich." No, sorry, you're a fat bastard. He said, "No, I'm a fat, rich bastard."
Oh, yeah.
And then they had didn't blink an eyelid. He was my guru before you came away with all this stuff just now. So he didn't know.
No. I don't know. Oh, I wouldn't have any idea. Now, if you had to try and name, list the enlightened beings over the last 60 years, not many people are putting Bernard in the list. No. There's a lot in the chat, Darren. Are there any questions?
Oh, let's have a look. I don't think there were any questions, though. I did have a look. Someone said all there is golf.
Well, I have to say, while I'm playing, yeah, there is, yeah, always. Which is a lot better than it used to be, because of course there'd be lots of thoughts of important stuff that needed doing. But yeah.
So all the recollections, all the memories, they're not mine.
No, nothing's yours, Darren. No.
Tej says, if nothing is mine, what is left?
Everything, Tej.
Yeah, that's cannot comprehend.
No, I don't comprehend it. It requires no comprehension.
It's so strange.
Yeah, I think it only sounds, it's not strange, it just sounds strange. It just sounds strange because how could it be that, that there isn't, because it's not that you have nothing, so I said to Darren that he has nothing. It's not that he has nothing, there's no him to have anything. There is seemingly what he has, yeah, but it's not his. And there's seemingly what Tej has. So Tej seems to have memories of his life. So he has all the stories of his life. They don't go anywhere. So it's not that they're lost. But when or if they're not mine, or the sense of them being mine is not there, it does feel like losing everything. It does feel like losing your life, which, I mean, that's what we're speaking of. So it can feel like death. I mean, it isn't death, but it can feel like death to me. I mean, there is no greater liberation than there is no one to die. That's when I'm speaking of liberation, that's the greatest liberation of all, the fear of my death.
Yeah, it's liberating at the same time. It's so perplexing and fearful.
Well, while there's a sense of I still have my life, of course it's fearful. It can't not be. If there is a sense of I have my life still, it is my life, this is my life, then of course there can only be fear. I mean, you could say it's the fear underlying all fears, all anxiety of self is about my demise, my non-existence. But I've said this before, and beneath death, there is another layer of fear, which is greater than death, which is that I've never existed, non-existence. And by non-existence, I don't mean the end of my existence, it's that I never was, which is reality.
Wow.
Really, there is no one to die. Death is ever constant. Death is here. Death is not waiting. You know, the whole illusion of self is that I've got a limited time, and one of the great anxieties that self has is, so you know, I've still got so much I want to do with my life. Where's the end of that? There is no time that you could waste. You know, there is no.
It's funny how the Grim Reaper's always painted in the black cape and the scythe and the really dark kind of Grim Reaper.
That makes sense, though. Psychologically, that makes sense because the darkness is the unknown. You know, so we're talking about you know, the dark.
Yeah.
Death is the dark. So yeah, of course he wouldn't have a face. He's faceless and he's in dark clothes. Yeah, because it's fear of the unknown. And that's exactly what we're speaking of. Not knowing.
Yeah.
It's never what self wants. Now you can kid yourself that it's what you want, that you want to not know. But the only way self can do that is to kid itself that it will know when it doesn't know. There will be a knowing of not knowing. It's the only strategy self can employ. I would still have to know it, so I would know when I don't know. In the same way that self can only say that I will know when I'm no one. I will know no self. There's no knowing of no self. Who would know?
Just following up on what you told Darren, Tim, it kind of struck me when you told him that, you know, whatever your feelings you have are not yours. It was just amazing to just even think that, you know, the feelings, emotions and stuff you have are not yours.
Yeah.
Then what is left is, it's striking. Yeah.
It's utterly free, because what the while I'm convinced that the emotions that are felt here are mine, all I can do then is infer that the feelings that Darren has are his. And I mean, that just comes from, there is only one root of that whole illusion, that Darren owns his because I own mine. That's it. And there isn't anything in its place. So of course I can never know. So there can be this myth that, okay, so now I could know, because there's no separation, I could know Darren's feelings. No, of course not.
Yeah, because then you would have to be there to pick up on Darren's feelings, but it's really nobody's, right?
And also there can be another myth could be that without my self-absorption in my own feelings and my own thoughts, then there would be much more empathy and much more, or not just empathy, but I could not necessarily know Darren's feelings, but I would pick up energetically, because there'd be much more space here to do that. Well, you know, for me, they're all quite romantic fantasies, really. And I wouldn't say any of them.
Lindy has her hand up. Go ahead, Lindy.
Hi, Lindy.
Hello. Yeah, just as a reflection to what we were just saying about death and everything, it's become the thought has come into my mind quite a lot, just when I've been going to bed recently, on quite a few occasions, and wanting to kind of think about it, although it doesn't really go anywhere. What if I just died in the night?
Mm-hmm.
And so what? And it kind of puts all, you know, what we're talking about sort of into perspective. I mean, the fear hasn't kicked back in. I think I've talked to you before about, you know, the complete childhood terror of not existing, which I think is shared by a great many people. But, you know, sort of just going to bed and just thinking, well, what would it be like if I didn't exist? Well, it's a completely moot question, isn't it, really? Because it's a bit like thinking about planning your own funeral.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can imagine this wild party going on, you know, which is exactly what I would want to happen. But what's the fucking point? Because I ain't going to be there anyway, really.
No.
Anyway, it was just reflecting back on the discussion about death. That, you know, yeah, just thinking, you know, if I wasn't here and I didn't wake up, on one level, that's just, oh my God. On another level, it's, well, so what? Because I wouldn't know about it. There isn't anybody to know about it.
No. No, especially, I mean, from deep sleep. I mean, what do we know of deep sleep?
Yeah, so again, it's a bit like what I've said, you know, the nearest analogy I can get, obviously we have the wave analogy, there are, you know, thousands of analogies. But, you know, when you can't go to sleep, you know, you've got something going on the next day and you're not feeling very good and you're desperate to go to sleep. And you just can't go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just happens completely unbidden.
Yeah, I mean, I think there you have it. Most selves long for sleep, but also fear. So, you know, especially with anxiety, when there's fear, then I can't go to sleep because there's anything could become of me because I won't be here. And yet it is what's longed for. And I just think there's a great clue in that. So what we're speaking of is longed for by self, which is to just lie down and not wake up. You know, to be done with the job of me.
Yeah, I mean, part of me sort of rather hoped that I was getting somewhere with that. But, you know, in the cold light of day, I realised it's just another imagination of...
Yeah. No, there's no getting anywhere.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
There's absolutely no getting anywhere. There's nowhere to get to and no one to travel there. Even if there was somewhere else, which there's not, there's no traveller. I mean, that's the whole illusion, is me. I am the traveller on my travels, on my journey. There's no journey. I mean, how far do you have to walk to get here?
David has his hand up.
Just very quickly, Tim, because I've said too much tonight already. But just what the previous speaker was saying reminded me of it's all very quaint and romantic, but there's something really powerful about it. Apparently, in the Zen tradition, certain traditions in Zen, when a monk goes to sleep at night, he turns over his cup, puts it down, face down on the bedside table, on the assumption that you might not be around the next morning to use it anyway. So it's just a little ritual, which I think is rather sweet, actually. Just before you go to sleep, you just you drink your water or your tea, and then you turn the cup over. It's lovely.
I'm done anyway.
Yeah. I might not be around tomorrow anyway, so off you go to sleep. It's sweet.
And I mean, that alone, I mean, that's very powerful. This, if it does dawn like it has for Lindy, that okay, there's no knowing of waking up from deep sleep. There is no knowing of tomorrow that I have tomorrow. That in itself can be really powerful. Well, thank you very much for coming, everybody. I'm speaking in my friend Brendan's house in Brighton in 2 weeks. There are still a few places. I think I emailed most of you. By the way, if you're not on the email list and you'd like to have invitations to the Zooms, then just email me, clistim@gmail.com. Yeah, there's a few places for that. You do have to book it in advance because it's just in his house, so there's quite limited numbers for that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I am thinking that I might go to fortnightly Zooms because I'm going to do, I'm hoping to do as many live meetings as I can. Now that the restrictions in the UK have been lifted, there's no COVID restrictions anymore. I'll give it another week and then I'll let you know for sure. But I am thinking of doing maybe one every 2 weeks if I'm doing meetings live meetings as well. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks everybody who contributed. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Ash. Thanks, Vikesh. Thanks, David. Thanks, Cindy.
There's nothing to be heard.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
The illusion is that you know what's going on. You never know what's going on. There's simply no knowing.
It's good. It's really
simply, here it is. Just this. Or just this. Yes. Just this.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'll do the whole track. Yeah. I've listened to it too many times.
Just fine.
I get accused of self-obsessed.
Or just this. Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Just this.
Bye.